So I'm offering this course called Consciousness Course, and I've been realising lately that although this is something that's very close to my heart, is something that I've been working towards for my whole lifetime, just putting out a few flyers and expecting people to relate to it enough to make the step to attend the course. I could do more, I could put myself out there more, I could stand up and make a video, if that is standing up. I can stand up and speak about, represent what it is that I stand for, what it is that you will be letting yourself in for if you come to Consciousness Course. And perhaps you get a sense of who I am, where I'm coming from as a result of listening to this video. So, Consciousness Course. What is Consciousness Course? Consciousness Course is a way of seeing ourselves, a way of seeing reality, a way of understanding beyond somewhat limited structures we're given and we generally have access to in the world. So Consciousness Course is for everyone, and yet it's not. It's a truth that is there for everyone. It's a truth that is wide open for everyone to see, the truth of being here and now. And yet it's a truth that not everyone seems to be engaging with, not everyone seems to want to dwell on or investigate, such as the nature of distraction of the day-to-day world and responsibilities towards limited self-interest as well. So the responsibility towards the wider whole of love is often ignored, is often skipped over, is often relegated to nothing when this is the main issue. Like, if we're so invested in our day-to-day lives, in money and status, in individual role in world system, then at death, what is left? There's just the earthly stuff that goes. My approach is that life is something more than this. Life is an opportunity to know who we are beyond the body, beyond the association of consciousness with physicality, with mind, whilst also honouring physicality, also honouring mind. And knowing that we are wider spirit, and this wider spirit seeks to know itself through us. So we are this one spirit, learning of itself through the limited forms we take. So it's really a case of, who are you? When you think of this question, who am I? What is this I? What is this I that you are? What is this I that you are? I mean, are you conceptualizing yourself as this body and mind unit, this particular physical entity that operates in the world? Yes, that's an aspect of who you are, but that's not the whole of who you are. Who you are is the life force that animates, that runs through this body, the consciousness, the pure consciousness that takes limited form, animates that limited form. This is our truest identity. This is identity beyond limitation. So limitation serves us. It gives us this opportunity to play in this time and space world. If we weren't bound in this body, we wouldn't have hands and feet and arms and legs and brains to understand it all, to sense it all, to experience it all, to express life within it. But the life we express is greater than the bounds of our own skin. The life we express is this boundless light that seeks to manifest itself in the world and be manifest by each person in one particular way or another way. Is the diversity of ways that oneness takes in the world in order to know itself. The world is the experiential playground of oneness, of spirit, of love, of God. And just while I put that word in there, God, this approach that I'm taking, it is an inner path. It's an inner understanding of consciousness rather than an external scientific based process. But then what is science? Science is the understanding of reality from an external perspective. What about the science of the inner realm? That's an understanding of reality, and it's variable, verifiable through experience rather than through fact-checking and repetition of experiments, you know. There's a life in direct experience that is not found in the dryness of statistics or the algorithms that we can create through numerical findings, you know. And that's not to negate those aspects of things. The world as a whole, we need all aspects. What I'm saying is my particular approach is the spiritual approach, is the inner approach. And when I say the spiritual approach, you know, spiritual things, they're, even that word spiritual, it's kind of got that, oh, this is a spiritual thing then, is it? So our world has created the definitions based on an economic model which relegates spirituality to something that is unimportant. Spirituality is unimportant if money and an economic gain is your goal. And as people in the world, we're in a system that perpetually crushes us with this idea that worth is found through outside gain. Wealth is found through the accumulation of shite, so the accumulation of money, the accumulation of some sort of credit based on some social media network, you know. Wealth is spiritual depth. Wealth is seeing the truth. Wealth is understanding who you are beyond limitations that you may have adopted for yourself. So the importance of this course is it's seeing that we are more than a limitation, and this course is really an invitation for those of us who are ready to ready for meaning, ready for sustenance, ready for quality of life beyond suffering, ready for knowledge, ready for accepting wisdom that has been cast out of our society. So this course, I'll get down to explaining how it works. So first week, we start off in the first week with this particular sheet. I'm not going to go into it other than to say that in the first week of this 3-week course, we talk about our origins, we talk about where we are now, and we talk about our destination. So this is a journey of self, and it's a journey of the universe. This is the journey of spirit. And the whole point of the course is spirit, life is not something outside of ourselves. These things are innate to us. It's the duality, the subject-object split, the I and the world, the I and the life outside, that has torn us apart from our heritage. You know, our heritage is the knowledge that we are life, that life is not separate from us, it's not something aside from us. Yes, there are other forms of life outside of us, but life itself is coursing through us. And this is something to celebrate through the knowledge of this. So the greater knowledge we have of ourselves, the more choice we have in the way we operate, the more opportunity we have to live fully. How can you live fully if you don't know the full extent of who you are? So this is essentially a shift from body-mind consciousness to spirit-soul consciousness. And in the second week, I should say here that that body-mind consciousness and the spirit-soul consciousness, the spirit-soul consciousness, the way I see it, is primary, and the body-mind consciousness stems from that. So I'm not saying we should favour one or the other, but I'm saying we should know the correct order of things. Spirit gives birth to matter. matter returns to spirit. It's like when we're born, we are a spirit born in the world. When we die, we are a spirit returning to the source of where we came. The body-mind is a vehicle, it is not the essence. So what I'm advocating here is a return to essence, which gives everything sense, which a return to essence which allows us to make sense of the world, so the world ceases to become fragmented bits of disconnected understanding and misunderstanding, and becomes a whole way of seeing things. So spirit gives birth to manifest form. We experience through manifest form, we return to spirit. And in the second week we talk about how this journey that I just described as beginning, middle, end is more of a, I mean, you can't see this, but you don't need to, hopefully you'll come to the course instead. So the second week is seeing how beginning, middle, end is just one way to look at it. In a non-linear sense, presence is always here and now, and we have never left. We have never left presence. We never need to I'll just leave it there. We have never left presence, and yet we can have the dream that we have left presence, the dream of suffering, essentially, the dream of also joyous expression as disconnected parts. But there comes a point where we feel like we need something more, you know, there's a healing that happens through the recognition of our higher selves, and we make this journey, this pilgrimage, to realize our higher self. This is the journey, the linear sense of things, and yet in a non-linear sense, we are always what we are, here and now. We are always pure presence. So essentially we need to clarify our mind in order to be in that space, not just intellectually, but through the wholeness of felt experience, the felt experience of the truth of our being. That is key, more than any mental understanding. And this is a good point to mention that my approach is through the mind, so all this stuff might seem quite mind focused. So I do a lot of body work as well, but the mind focus for me was the way in. It's the primary path that my particular journey took, and there are many paths, many journeys, but inevitably this consciousness course takes quite a mental approach. It's an understanding of experiential truth, which is beyond concept, through concepts which are used like pointers to get there. So the third and final week is more about integrating. It's about integrating the linear and the non-linear. It's about integrating the duality and the non-duality. So there's so much can be said about that, and yet I don't want to say it all in this video, because I've designed this course over 3 weeks so that this understanding can be integrated slowly. It can't just be in one video, got it. It can't be like that. It takes time to settle. It takes spaces between sessions to integrate the understanding. And besides this book that I have written, which is essentially a companion to the course, is something that I offer with the course. So £33 for the course, 3-week course, and so 1 session every week, and you can read chapters of this each week to integrate it, to go into depth with each